Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm really delighted to be here, and we're going to talk about Call for Code and applications you can build using Node-RED with Twitter and with some Watson AI feeds. We're going to jump around. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is John Wallachy, and you can see and find me on Twitter. Like and subscribe. Hopefully you're joining to hear a little bit about how we're going to use Node-RED, how we're going to listen to a Twitter feed and a social media feed, and then do some analytics on the tweets. And so towards that end, we want you, of course, to register for Call for Code, a great opportunity as a developer to give back and to do some social good, especially those that are in need around natural disasters. And this year in 2019, we've got a special focus on health and well-being as we try to help the survivors of a natural disaster through their journey. And so one way to do that is to listen on social media, and I'm going to give you some examples of how you might do that. And so first, go and register, form a team. I'm an IoT guy, so if you're going to build an IoT solution, find me on the Slack channel and feel free to ask questions there. You also can find more information about Call for Code at the callforcode.org website. IBM is one of the founding partners, and we're really delighted that the number of sponsors and partners continues to grow. And so we're really happy to have on board a whole variety of celebrities and the David Clark Cause, of course, and our sponsors. So today, we're going to do a little bit of an echo here. Me, I don't know where that's coming from. You're going to want to... I don't think so. Turn my audio off. Hey, sorry about that, guys. That's turn my mic off. How about that? Hopefully you still can hear me, Mia. Right? Okay, good. Hey, so a little bit of an echo. So today we're going to talk about using Node-RED and AI to analyze social media tweets. And so let's jump right in. So some of the use cases. So remember that we've got a whole variety of people in a natural disaster. They want to ask for help. Maybe they want to mark themselves safe. Maybe they need to communicate and they don't have any other means. So they might go to social media. And we've seen that in natural disasters all around the world where you can see the social media really burst with both sympathy and with requests for help. And so we're going to try to capture that in a set of dashboards and look for and build some applications. So what I did is, so I'm a Node-RED and a IoT guy. So I created a Node-RED Twitter workshop, and that's so you can jump up to my Git repository, and we're going to spend some time today in my Git repository and in the IBM Cloud catalog, looking at some of the AI services that we can wire together that we might be able to help in a listen for our social media sentiment, tone, visual recognition, and we're going to take advantage of that. All right, so when you jump into the Twitter workshop, just to give you a spice of what we're going to do, is we're going to listen for a variety of tweets, and we're going to put it on a map. I'm going to scroll up here a little bit. We're going to put those on a map. We're going to store the tweets in a database. We are going to look for sentiment. We're going to chart the sentiment over time. We will send the pictures that you embed in your tweets to Watson visual recognition and get back and see what Watson sees. Now we're going to do this live, so there's great opportunity for viral fun to see what actually happens. And we're going to listen to a couple of hashtags and see what comes out. All right. We're going to actually use the text to speech so we can have tweets talk to us, especially if someone who's got a disability maybe wants to listen for social media tweets. And so we can turn that on as well. And then at the end, we're going to build ourselves a sample code. And I didn't want to steal anyone's thunder, so I kind of put together a very simple mark yourself safe on a map with a tweet and a picture of where you are. And so we're going to kind of wind our way up at this point here. Sort of a little dashboard, listening for tweets, or picture, what does Watson see, a map, and a hashtag I am safe call for code. And so we'll be able to build this at the end of our little discussion here. Okay, that's where we're headed. But I wanted to start so how do you build this? So we're going to build with Node-RED. Node-RED is a visual programming technique. So if you go to nodered.org, you can learn about Node-RED. It's this, you'll notice here, you've got a palette of nodes, over 3,000 palettes. If you jump nodes, go to flows.nodered.org, you'll notice, wow, 3,200 different flows or examples that you can add to your palette. So different nodes for all sorts of devices, all sorts of use cases. We've got a number of Watson AI services here, so we'll go explore those. And we're going to wire them together in interesting ways and build it with a dashboard, with maps, with Twitter. We're going to actually construct a number of applications. But we want to host it in the cloud. And so when we go to the IBM catalogs, if you go to cloud.ibm.com, if you've not been there before, you can register. All you need is an email address. No credit card is required. We just ask you to confirm your email address, and then you're good to go with the IBM Cloud in the light tier. And the light tier gives you a number of APIs that you can experiment with. And we're going to actually use all of our apps today will be able to run in the light tier. If you go and you sign in, one thing you'll notice in the masthead is the catalog. And the catalog's got 195 different microservices and APIs that you can use to build applications. All sorts of things, everything from bare metal all the way up to AI and machine learning. So we're going to take a little tour through two categories here. There's lots of different categories, but I'm going to suggest everyone start with the starter kits, because in the starter kits, these are sort of the building blocks that you would wire together to build in our case, a Node.js web server with a Cloudint database, CouchDB behind it, and it's all going to be pre-configured with Node-RED. And so you can find in the starter kits the Node-RED starter. You can click on it, and it's going to give it a name, right? So I called it Twitter Workshop the other night, and now it's going to tell me that it's in use already. So I might have to give it something else, and then say create. And in about 5 minutes, I will have myself a Node.js web server running in the IBM Cloud, for which Node-RED is already pre-configured. And so that's pretty easy. Then I'm going to launch. So I did that the other night. And so here it's already running. And I'll talk about how we're going to bind some services to it. And you'll notice, let's jump over to overview. I have just one instance of this. I've given it a little bit of more memory because I've got a lot of different demos. But in a light tier have 256 to go experiment with. And I have just one instance. I'm not trying to build a internet scale application here. If you were truly to create a social media analyst tool, you might want to create multiple instances, deploy them around the IBM cloud infrastructure. We've got a number of availability zones, a couple of different regions, 60 different data centers. And so we can help you build internet scale apps if you need it. But for our little demo today, I have just one instance. It's running in Dallas. And so we're going to go play with it. Okay. Cost me 0. And I, of course, started and stopped it a bunch of times. And so you see like the log file of me experimenting as I built the workshop today. Other cool thing is you have full access to the continuous delivery. So you can restage and redeploy. There's a Git repository behind this, and I can go manipulate the Git repo and add images to my website, because essentially it's a Node.js web server. So package.json and all of the Express server running underneath. And so Node-RED is going to run on top of that. So let's go take a look at what are we going to tie into this? So remember, one of the tasks in our journey today is to store the tweets. So we needed a database, and IBM has in the free tier something called Clouded, built on top of CouchDB, open source, awesome database, pretty good for time series and just database records. So we're going to store some tweets in our database. I'll show you how to do that. So we needed an instance of that. And then we wanted in our little catalog, before I'll tell you the 3 that I picked, and then we'll jump to the catalog and find them, talk about them for a minute or two. Speech to text, tone analyzer, and the Watson visual recognition are the 3 that I bound into my app and I restaged. And so we're going to actually be able to build applications now using these microservices, these AI microservices. Fun thing about this is that they're microservices, and there's API docs. So you can just call an individual service using an API key and take advantage of text analytics, Knowledge Studio, language translation, machine learning, NLU, chatbots, personality insights. We're going to take advantage, as I mentioned, of we've got a tweet, it's text. We want to create a WAV file in English, and we can have it be read out loud to us. Now, maybe I want to take a tweet, convert it to another language, and then speak it. Well, we can do that too. We're going to take advantage of Tone Analyzer because there's a lot of stress in a natural disaster. I mean, your home is destroyed. You don't know what to do next. Maybe your family has been displaced. Maybe you've been separated from your loved ones. And so there's a whole set of stressful moments in a natural disaster that you can help detect in their text, in their tweets. And so we're going to take advantage of Tone Analyzer, and just to get that emotion out of the tweets, see if we can go help them, because responding with the right set of needs is important to understand where the emotional state of those that are survivors after a natural disaster. So I think Tone Analyzer might be really important. And the other clever API that we're going to use today is the visual recognition service, because maybe you're tweeting a picture of your things, where you are. Maybe you need some help, and so we can use visual recognition to detect things in the pictures. Now, Watson knows about 12,000 everyday objects, really kind of clever. It already has a pre-trained network, mesh neural network, but we could also do custom classifiers. I didn't build a custom classifier today. I've done that for other workshops. So if you're interested in call Call for Code. I did one for wildfire neighborhoods and also for flooding victims. And I trained on survivors on rooftops and rescue boats in a recent tutorial you can find on developer.ibm.com. And so that was kind of clever. So visual recognition, very powerful. Take advantage of building a custom classifier using Watson Studio, which is another one of our AI services here. Okay. All right. So those three, which I created instances of, and then I connected them to my application. So if you go, let me just show you how I did that, right? So I kind of picked one, and where was it? Text to speech. And you don't even have to give it a name. It sort of gives you one random name. Let it run in Dallas. You hit the create button. About 15 seconds later, it gives you an instance. You create yourself an API key for it, and off you go. Well, I already did this, so I don't have to do it again. We'll jump up to my dashboard so that you can kind of see what I got here. And so I have one of those. And let's go take a look. So I have a whole bunch of Cloudit ones. And I think down below, there's language translator and an instance of speech to text and text to speech. Tone analyzer, we're going to use this one. We're going to use one of these visual recognition ones. I have three because I do lots of different demos, and I actually, so you get 1,000 images a month in the free tier. And if you hit 1,000 images, then your API is suspended. Remember, this is free. A great demo. If you want to upgrade your service, then it's like fractions of a penny for a classification. All right. So then I started to build. So let's go jump back to my Git repo and see what we're going to build first. And so remember, you can find me here, jump into the Twitter workshop. And so here we go. So first we're going to build a simple flow that just watches a feed. And we have to do that, we have to create ourselves a Twitter developer account, which I'll show you how to do. And then we're going to start to wire things into it. I sort of build my little demo over time. I add a feature, and I do it on each tab of the Node-RED flow. And we're going to sort of at the end get ourselves to this mark me safe as a dashboard. And so what we did is I added the sentiment analysis of a tweet. Now, you can actually tie that positive or negative tweets. Maybe you want to take some action on those tweets. And I used an external service called Twilio to text when someone was really negative, they asked for help. And you can then pass that information out of your social stream out to some type of alert that you would add to your phone, okay? So it's good to have an SMS type of technique. And then I mentioned that tone analyzer, so we're going to listen for the emotion of a person in their social media stream. We're going to have tweets talk to us. Hopefully that won't go awry. We're going to store some of those tweets in a database. I'll show you how to do that as our next little step. Then we're going to start. So at this point, we had just built some foundation stuff. We haven't built any dashboards yet. We want our app to actually look cool. So we started to build a dashboard, and I'll take advantage of Node-RED dashboard. It's a set of nodes that you can construct very simple Node-RED apps. Okay, and we're gonna build a chart and a gauge, and we're gonna put the sentiment on a chart, and we're gonna just watch over time what that looks like. And then we're gonna go take a picture and out of a tweet, send that to visual recognition, see what it sees. We're going to get back some results. It's going to be a big, giant JSON object, not particularly pretty. Me as a developer, that's all juicy fun. But if you want to build an app for an end user, you want to put that information in a nice table. So we'll build a little nice table with the results of Watson Visual Recognition. And then we're going to skip over to nutrition one. I built, it was so much fun. I do lots of hackathons. I was at a health hackathon a couple of months ago, and the team, I helped a team. They wanted to help diabetes patients pick better food. So the person would take a picture of the food they're about to eat that Watson visual recognition. There's a food service. So we've got a special classifier for food. It knows about 2,000, 3,000 foods, and it would tell you what you're about to eat. So it would extract salmon or chicken or salad or, Fruit Loops, and then it would send that food to a U.S. Department of Agriculture API, where we would get the nutrition details, so caloric content, fat, calories, protein, all the ingredients of a Fruit Loops or salmon. Now, salmon is clearly better than Fruit Loops, and so they would, after they call the API, make a recommendation back to the patient saying, eat the salmon, it's more healthy than the sugar content of Fruit Loops. And so that was very clever. And so there's an example here, which we're going to skip over. I've already spent more time talking about it. It was great fun. All right, and we're going to kind of end with our call for code little sample app here. Okay, that was a little picture of salmon and the protein and so forth. All right, let's get going, John. And so remember, I launched Node-RED. So now this is Node-RED workshop. And so let's make that bigger so you all can see. All right, so what does that look like? So remember, we've got ourselves a palette of nodes on the left. So we have our dashboard nodes. We're going to come to those towards the end. We've got a bunch of Watson nodes, so we can take advantage of different microservices. Now I can paste API keys in, but I've already bound my service, so I don't have to do that here. So we're going to take a few of these and we're going to wire them together. And the way this works is you go grab yourself from your palette a node, and so that's an inject node, and here's a debug, sort of like the printf of Node-RED. Those of you that are C programmers, maybe write Python, it's print. And then on the other side, over on the right side, you've got information tabs. So every node that you select kind of gives you a little bit of help on how to configure that node, what it does, and what inputs and what outputs it might send to you. Cool thing about event-driven programming is it just takes an input, does something, and passes an output. It doesn't know what the rest of the program is doing. Very simple types of techniques, and you wire them together. And so we're going to wire our little two together. And so what we're going to do is I've disabled all my tabs so I can kind of focus one at a time. We're going to turn this one on. And so now I've got a wire between, well, timestamp is kind of boring. Let's do a little string, hello world. And because everyone's got to have a hello world app. And let's go and take a look. We're going to hit the deploy button after we make a change. We want to then deploy it to Node-RED runtime. And we're going to hit the deploy in hello world. There's hello world in my little debug panel on the side. We're going to get rid of that and just go delete that. Now you'll notice that I've already configured Twitter with my account details. And we got ourselves a tweet. So we're following IBM. And so what we're going to get back from a tweet is, now you think of a tweet as 144, 288 characters. Haha, no. There's so much more metadata around that tweet. There's all sorts of details on when it was created, what was the source, so the user, their location, the details of that user, So here's, I don't know this person. They just tweeted about IBM and how many followers they have, how many friends, um, what time zone they're in. All this information about the person is inside the metadata, which we can use to our advantage when we're building our application. Remember, and of course we could go to their profile and look at their picture. Um, Most interesting here is, did they retweet? Maybe all the retweet details are included here as well, and the whole thread of retweets are posted in our metadata. All right, so we know it's English, which also comes in handy. You'll notice later when I start to put cities on a map, if the city's in Japanese or kanji, it's hard for me to read kanji, and so I'd have to do some gymnastics with the Mapbox API, which I didn't do. So if you tweet in kanji, I just don't know where you live because I didn't work with the Mapbox API. All right, before we go too much further, so that was kind of fun. We saw here, we got a tweet about IBM. We kind of dug into the details. And so this was the big details. And you know what? There's a lot of information here. What we really cared about was just the text, right? We care about the 144 characters. And so that's in here. I kind of skipped over it. But that's the little piece that we wanted of the whole thing. And so we can just go extract that one little bit out of the JSON object by saying message.tweet.text. That's the piece I want. And now if we wanted to actually go do something fun with this, well, man, some tweets come through with all sorts of hashtags and short URLs. So when you pass that to text to speech, it sounds horrible because it just tries to talk an HTML URL to you. And so what I did is I wrote a little function that just does a regex and just replaces hashtags with the word hashtag so that it actually speaks hashtag. And also I strip out all these short URLs. All right, so that was a little function. So cool thing about Node-RED, it's a JavaScript application, right, running on top of Node. And you can just write JavaScript. And so there's a function node, which, if you're a JavaScript programmer, you can dive in and you write more complicated stuff in a function node. And I take advantage of that in lots of applications, maybe not so much this one today because they're all pretty easy. All right, so now that was kind of cool. While we're just gonna turn this one off, and I wanted to go and jump up to Twitter, because to do this, you actually have to get yourself a Twitter. Let me just show you what I did. So inside the Twitter node here, we're following IBM. My ID is @JohnWalicki. And if you hit the little pencil mark here, you have to go and create yourself. I want to make that bigger so you all can read. Control plus. Yeah, there we go. You have to type in your API key and your secret token, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to apply. And it's not like an immediate thing. So you have to jump up to Twitter. And I told them I was building Node-RED Twitter apps. And I won't go to this tab. You'll see all my tokens. And I kind of apply. And in about a day, less than a day, they'll give you a set of API tokens. So don't show up at a hackathon and think you're going to do a Twitter social media analysis. You want to do this step the day before. Okay. All right. So now that we've got ourselves the various tokens and secrets, we configured our Twitter node, and we started to see some tweets. All right, cool. I have not done anything with AI yet. I've just showed you some Node-RED and some Twitter. Cool. Let's start to do something a little more interesting. All right, so in this next little example, I'm going to take that Twitter hashtag. What are we going to follow? IBM. And we're just going to go turn this tab of our flow on. And so we're sort of building. Remember, we got the details. We extracted the text that we cared about. We're going to pass the text of the tweet to Sentiment. And Sentiment gives us back a score. So we get back a JSON object. It's message.sentiment. One of the values in the key value pairs is score. Let's go take a look at that. Let's hit the deploy button. And hopefully that was just me fiddling. Oh yeah, so you see 3, 2, 0. Go back, I saw a 2, I saw a 3, I saw a 0. And so from the tweet, we're getting sent the text, we're getting sentiment. And I purposely didn't pass it hashtags, I didn't pass it URLs, kind of confuses the sentiment node. We'll skip over that text. And so we can decide whether we want positive or negative. So now if it's greater than 2, if it's less than 0, I've got a positive tweet or a negative tweet. This is a switch node. Those of you that are programmers, it's a very simple way to do a giant case statement, if then else. And so I've got 2 plus or minus, and I have a debug node for positive tweets and negative tweets, and then I can decide whether to send. So here's my Twilio service, and I think I've got this configured. I don't remember. I could tweet those to my phone, and problem is if I turn it on, my phone will buzz like crazy. So I'm not going to do that. But that's pretty simple. You go jump up to Twilio, get yourself they have a free phone number for a certain number of days. And it's a great little example for Call for Code. Okay. All right. So now that was a little bit of just text analytics. Let's go to our next tab. So we saw tweets 2, 1, 0, 0, 2. I'm just scrolling through tweets here, not reading them, just looking at the sentiment. Let's continue our little journey. We're going to turn this one off and turn the next one on. Let's go take at the next one. All right, so this next one, this is a lot of fun. This one is going to take our tweet, and remember we got the text here, and we're going to pass it to our text-to-speech node, and you can pick English. Now we're sending in English, so obviously we want it to read in English. If we were sending it Spanish, we could choose Spanish, Latin American Spanish, or European Spanish. We could pick, different types of languages here. We could pick voices. So those of you that know Watson from TV commercials, that's a voice called Michael. And we can pick different, we get back a WAV file. We can make the tweets different voices here. I particularly like the Australian voices. I'm going next week, so I'll see you hopefully at Think at Sydney down in Australia. All right, so you can hit deploy there. Now you notice I have a rate limit here, because if we try to read a bunch of tweets all at once, then they stomp on each other. Let's go turn this on. The other fun thing is, because I've muted my laptop, we won't actually hear it. Oh, that's a bummer. I think if I turn it on, somewhere in the background, I must have a Twitch stream. I don't believe that's possible, though. Twitch. Says not running anywhere. I don't know why. I'm going to come off mute and see what happens here. Not running anywhere. It's back. I don't know why. I'm going to come off mute and see what happens here. There's a delay. Oh, that's a huge echo. That sucks. All right, let's not do that. All right, so we know it talks to us. Oh, here, you know what? We have to configure it with a. We're gonna follow IBM again. We'll do it for a minute.
RTAD or PGPGM. Calling a program on a remote hashtag IVME using SNAD. See short URL.
All right, so that was speech to text reading tweets to us. So that was kind of fun. Oh, I see why. The blog post has it embedded. There we go.
And blockchain, but it didn't have that. Mitchell.
Let that play out. That was weird. All right, so now I've solved the echo because the blog post had the embedded stream. Cool. Now I can come off mute if I wanted to. And you'll notice that we've got ourselves 3 tweets kind of backed up. It's talking to us probably nonstop here. So let's go turn that off. And we're going to hit the deploy. So we kind of demonstrated that we can have talking tweets. So now you can listen to your tweets if you wanted to. Maybe you want to put them on a bigger than 10-second delay because they kind of run into each other. And so you can listen to your feed in the morning in the car if you wanted to. So that's kind of clever. Let's go to our next tab and talk about storing our tweets, because maybe we want to do analysis of tweets. And over time, especially in a natural disaster, you might need to go back and say, okay, John asked for help an hour ago in a tweet. Let's go make sure that he's getting the assistance he needs. And so we can store the tweets in a database. Let's just go take a look how to do that. Well, we'll take our tweet, we'll follow IBM, we're going to rate limit them a little bit. We're going to build ourselves a little time series payload. We want to add the timestamp, the text, and the sentiment of our tweets. And so we're going to use this Cloudit node. So we went to our palette. We found ourselves in our palette, Cloudit node. We dragged it out. And we're going to configure the Cloudit node. We're going to give it a name so it knows that I already have a Cloudit instance. And we're going to call it new tweets. Now we're going to insert. And we only want to store the object that we pass. Okay. And so let's go, and I already have some tweet data I'll show you in a moment. Let's get the new deploy here. Oops, I got to go turn this one on. Sorry about that. We're following IBM now. Let's go enable this tab, see what we got. Okay. So let's go take a look at our cloud and database now. So I jumped up to the IBM Cloud Catalog, and I created previously an instance of Cloudit, and I wanted to go open it. And you'll notice that I've got a connected app here. This is my Twitter workshop that we're walking through. And so I clicked into our little database here, and let's go take a look. So of course it doesn't remember who I am. That's my token is timed out, but that's okay. We'll just go launch it live here. My token had expired. And so let's go into the database fresh. And so sure enough, I've got tweet data and new tweets. So under tweet data, I've got 37 tweets. I've got other databases here of other stuff. But let's go take a look at this tweet data. And we want to look at a table. And so here's our sentiment. Here is the tweet and the timestamp in Unix epoch time milliseconds since the beginning of 1970. All right. And so we can do analysis then on the tweets, what they said, when they were, what tone they were, sorry, what sentiment they had. And so, positives and negatives throughout here. All right. So now, so that was stuff I had previously stored. Let's go see if we still have no zero tweets here. I was hoping something would come through. Let's go take a look here. Oh, 4 of them. Cannot read. You know why? Because in my little example here, I don't have a sentiment. Well, it's easy enough to add. So let's go get ourselves a sentiment node. We're going to put it there. And we want to send it tweet.text. Cool. Let's go fix that. Because we're just throwing errors here. We were throwing an error because my little function node was expecting to store that and it didn't exist yet. And so let's say done, and hopefully, hey, I saw my name scroll by. That's fun. So now let's see if we're getting real data. Cool. So now let's go back to Cloudit. Let's hit our little new tweets here. Hey, sure enough, 2 tweets. Here's one. And so someone retweeted my tweet from earlier today, and it looked like it was positive. Sentiment was 1. Maybe I'm doing a good job. Score me later. So there we go. So now we know that new tweets are being stored with our sentiment. We just fixed that up. So that was kind of clever. All right, let's go turn that off and let's jump to our next one. We're still building to our dashboard here. So we finally have got to our dashboard. So let's go and take a look at our dashboard. So remember we had our Twitter feed, and we'll enable this tab now. And I also built a little test harness. I was waiting for tweets to come in. I wanted to see happy tweets and angry tweets and sad tweets so that we could get a natural disaster. I wasn't going to wait for a natural disaster to see what we got. And so I put some sample tweets here in a little message payload. Now we're going to take the sentiment. We're going to do a little rate limit on them. We're going to we want to see the tweet. We want to see a gauge of the tweet, and we want to see the tweets in a chart. And so we went over to our dashboard, and in our dashboard nodes, we grabbed a gauge, and we configured our gauge. So sort of a gauge, right? Goes up and down. We can make it colorful. We could do a mins and maxes. And so in my case, I had a -10 to +10. You could be very sad. So -10, right? Cool. Now, what does this look like? Let's go launch our little dashboard now. Let's hit the deploy button, and let's go take a look at our dashboard. Now, no tweets yet, right? So here is the first one, something #IBM. And then as they come in, we're going to see it on our dashboard. So there's another one with a timestamp, positive tweet, and so forth. We'll let that run for a couple of minutes. So there's a really great something about #powerful, a great event going on, I think, down in Austin as we build applications with Girls Who Code. All right, maybe that one. So next one, negative. Okay, so for whatever reason, sentiment analysis decided that tweet was negative. And so over time, you start to build a little dashboard of the tone and tweets sentiment that you might see. All right, so we'll let that run, and We'll just let that fill up here. We'll turn this one off. Okay. Next, our next little journey here is tone. So let's go turn this one on. And so now let's go give it a hashtag IBM. And while we're doing that, let's go inject a happy test, a sad test. And actually, before we give it an IBM, let's leave that blank for a moment, because what I want to do is just see if our stuff works. Okay. All right, so let's go deploy that. All right, so Tone is an API, so it's a microservice, part of our Watson AI catalog. And so it can tell us whether the tweet is happy or sad or fear, joy. There's evidently a bunch of different emotional tones. And so some psychologist smarter than I has figured out there's 5: joy, fear, sadness, anger, and disgust. And so we're going to see what it says. And then there's other tones here. So we're going to see, in this case, we're going to get back from Tone Analyzer a JSON object with a bunch of and a score. So joy was 88% joy and 97% confident. And we're just going to say this tweet expresses confidence because the tweet is everyone is awesome. All right, so let's go look at the next one. It's kind of sad. And so now this is miserable and sad. And sure enough, our function works here. And the last one is angry because I hate this demo. And so anger. Okay, we got back a JSON object with anger, evidently 83% anger in that particular tweet. Okay, so now you can start to catch that emotional tone of your survivor out of the natural disaster now. Okay, so that's Tone Analyzer. Just to show you, we've got some great documentation here. So remember, from the catalog, you can create an instance of Tone Analyzer. There's a ton of docs. So as a developer, you want to go and build it, call it from a bunch of different languages. So it's going to return a JSON object with different tones, sadness, analytical, so forth. Okay, you can actually give it whole sentences, and it can score each sentence along the way. So it can kind of give it a whole body of work, and it gives you tone analysis across the whole body. Different, each sentence gets its own score. Now you can write and call this in Go. You can call it in Java. You can call it in Python, and you get back a list. So you can look at the different code. Scroll. So actually give you sample code. Sorry, that's what I was looking for. Sample code on how to make the call. Here's sample code on how to do it in Java. Sample code on how to call it from Go. And so it's very simple. You just copy it into your buffer here, paste it into your application, put in your API key, and for the most part, you're getting results out of the API. Now, cool thing was Node-RED sort of did it under the covers already for me, so I didn't have to do a lot of that. All I did was say, yes, I wanted it to do tone analysis. Now, you could build some custom tone analyzers here too. So if you had a custom domain expertise, you can train it to do something there. Lots of different languages as well. Okay. All right. So let's move on our little journey here. We've got about 50 minutes in. Say done. We're going to go to the next tab. Where's our next tab? So we're going to build a dashboard with visual recognition. Now they're starting to get a little more complicated, but don't worry, I'll walk you through it here. And so what does this look like? We get our tweets and we're going to extract the, so remember in our pictures of the, that you tweet, usually you put a GIF, maybe a picture of something, and put a little comment. You can extract the URL of that picture. And so we want to pass that to visual recognition, which is one of our Watson AI services. We're going to put that in a bunch of dashboards. So we're going to build a little table. We're going to put that in a table. We're going to say who the user was and what the text of the tweet was. We'll build a little gauge. And we want to open the tweet so maybe we can respond. And I got some test harnesses here. I kind of have some samples of tweets. All right, let's go turn that one on and say go. See what we got next. All right, let's go take a look here. Two of them here. So that was our sentiment is still running here. So we, kind of looking positive. Maybe our my talk today is doing good things. All right, so we're going to jump over and switch from the scoreboard to our tone analyzer here. Now we don't have any tweets yet. So we're going to get back who the user was, what the tweet was, a picture, the result table, and the sentiment score. I hit the rate limit. That's fun. I knew there was a reason why I turned stuff off. Let's go disable it. So let's talk about the Twitter feed. So remember, they don't want you to go and fire hose people, so they put a rate limit around this, and sort of that's why I have all the tabs disabled, so I don't hit the rate limit too fast. So as soon as I turned off one and turned on this one, I'm good to go. So I'm getting some tweets now, and it looks like we're getting some results. Let's see what it says. So now Watson saw a dial. So what did it see? It saw a switch. Now this time it saw a video display. It saw electronic equipment, maybe a computer. Watson visual recognition also knows colors. So it picks the dominant colors. And so here is the next one. Let's see what it saw there. A person, a voting machine, World Wide Web, a display. This one is blue. Didn't see very much in this picture. A lamp with low confidence. So let's talk about confidence scores. So you can you get back from visual recognition a guess of what it is with a confidence score. Now Watson very rarely knows with 100% confidence that it's a particular thing. So it always assigns a confidence score to what it thinks it maybe saw. So maybe with 63% confidence, it thought this was a menu. So it looks like a menu here. All right. And if we wanted to go tweet about back to this person, I'm waiting for an interesting one. So this is, let's see what this is. So protractors. Yeah, sort of looks like a protractor. A spectrum of colors. It's got the green color. So this one thought it was a refinery. Got that wrong because that's a Chicago skyline. I got skyline correct. That's kind of clever. It thought it saw some smokestacks. So I always think that this is pretty fun to see what Watson thinks. This one's a blue window. And so you can kind of spend some time looking at your tweets and say, okay, what does Watson think here? Here's a retweet of me and of my little talk. And so it's a weatherman because it maybe saw a map and a person there. So that's kind of cool. All right. Let's go and what was that last one? Oh, that's a person, a portrait. There we go. Let's go turn that off. We get 1,000 free images a month. So our visual recognition service is a great little free tier sample. You can't run this all day. You'll hit the rate limit and you'll have to wait a month for it to reset. All right, our next little journey here is maps, because one of the attributes in our tweets is user location. Now on your phone, you can choose, for privacy reasons, you can decide whether to give Twitter access to your location or not. And so decide for your privacy reasons whether you turn that on or not. But in our little sample, mark myself safe, I wanted to say, yes, I'm in New Jersey and I'm safe. So I turned it on in my app here. And what we're going to do is, so we're going to get user location. And so tweet user location, if it's set, right, if it's not null, we're going to jump over to our Mapbox API. And so I jumped over to Mapbox, and so they have a free one, and we're gonna, and Twitter says New Jersey, right, USA. It doesn't tell me longitude and longitude, which is what I need to pass to the map. So I'm going to actually use an API called forward geocoding, where I send it, New Jersey, and it tells me back where New Jersey is on the planet. And so I read this API, said, oh, that's kind of clever. And I got myself an API key and an access token, free, didn't have to do anything. Now, I used to do this with Google Map API. They started requiring a credit card, and they didn't charge me, but I decided that I didn't want to spend money on a sample demo here. And so instead I used Mapbox. And Mapbox is a great partner of IBM. If you go to the catalog, you'll find Mapbox right in our services here. So if you're looking to do custom maps, they're got a great set of APIs. So that's what I did. I went and I call their little request here with the location of the tweet. So tweet user location, and with the access token, and I get back geo coordinates, right? Longitude and latitude. So here I go grab longitude and latitude out of the tweet, and I'm going to put that on a map now. And so there's a Node-RED node for maps. And so here it's called Node-RED Contrib Web World Map. And it's got all sorts of features. You can drop pins, and you can change the color of the pin. You can have it do hover. It's, of course, got lots of different overlays and different map styles. You can, different layers here. And so I kind of read about this, and I said, that's kind of clever. Dave Conaway Jones did a beautiful job, and I pull it into our little, so there's a node, and I can pick what layers. I could change the layers. I can send it longitude, latitude, and I can force it to auto pan, etc. So this was clever. Let's go turn this on, see what we got here. That's a lot of talk, John. Show me a picture. All right, back over to our dashboard. And so now we're going to turn it on. See what we got here. Don't remember if I gave it. Yeah, so we're following IBM again. And we're just going to, so what we're going to do is, for this one, I had a little on-off switch because I thought that was clever. We're going to look at the tweet, the user, the sentiment, and somewhere point on a world. Here we go. So that was a tweet without a geolocation. So we're waiting now. At some point, we are going to get geo coordinates here. Worried about our little error here. I think I fiddled with it. Remember, sometimes let's go read if our tweets are in a different country. Yeah, so the place, this one is Berlin and Paris. It doesn't know how to parse the little flags. That's not so good. Hopefully one will come through that's working here. There's always a few demo fails here. Let's go. Hopefully one of these has got their geolocation turned on. And let's go see where that one is from. User location is null. So when we get location null, we don't know what to do. So we kind of skip over those. And hopefully we're getting one. Let's go. So what you can do, we have a lot of details here. Let's go turn this off and turn that off. And we should at some point get ourselves one that's got some payloads here. Let's go take a look. Should have everything turned off except for this last one here. Bear with me, guys. This is going to be awesome. Getting failures from Mapbox. Welcome. Well, every once in a while, we pass it a different country. Let's reload here. Deploy. Oh, I broke the internet. I'm not sure what I did. My demos come to a standstill. So it's always fun, right? You get so far into an hour into it, and it's got to be at least one failure. So something it's thinking hard here at this at my little codes. But what I did was I was taking advantage of this Node-RED world map, and so I was putting little pins. And so remember, I'm getting positive tweets and negative tweets. So I use there's a little Twitter icon, and so I drop little tweets onto the map, and then if they're positive, I make them green, and if they're negative, I make them red, and they look like this. I have a screenshot of it. So there is a green screenshot, right? So a little green tweet on my map. Let's go see if it came back to life. It has not come back to life. The requested route does not exist. It means my app has failed. Let's go check the log. So the cool thing is you could go look to see what's going on here. It says it's running. Maybe my access to Dallas is causing trouble. That's the fear of always deploying in one availability zone. If you deploy in multiple availability zones, you could do failover. Yeah, my app is having trouble. The other cool thing is you can actually go to the command line. And if I'm still logged in here, I can do CF app. I just want to look at the log file. Let's see if we can get a log file, see what's going on with our little example. Because we have one part, we've actually built all the pieces now to actually build ourselves a Mark Me Safe app, or waiting for logs to come back here. We're just gonna have to wait for that to restart. So our final step, let's go take a look at this here. So the final step is to build ourselves a call for code natural disaster Twitter analyzer that lets people mark themselves safe. And so I thought, well, combined all of the things that we've created so far, so a switch and who the user was, what their tweet was, let you open up the tweet, put the little sentiment. Now, I made the gauge small because in this case, I had other fun things to do. So I put a really small gauge there. I wanted the map with a tweet. And I store the data in a database under the covers. And I sent a picture of me being safe. Just found an umpire out on the internet there. And I sent this to visual recognition and got back that this is a person, right, playing a game. And so that was kind of clever. And so the flow itself, so remember, we're just building on what we've constructed here. We have our map, we have a bunch of dashboards and sentiment and a gauge. We have our visual recognition. We had our speech to text, so it was talking to us as well. And we did our geolocation, and we dropped the geolocation details for longitude, latitude onto a map. And so the entirety of our little application here is this little flow on one page of a mark me safe using Node-RED in about 25, 30 nodes of logic. And if you can follow a flow chart, you can really figure out what's going on here. I want to show you this running, guys. Here we go. Back to life, maybe. Let's go and hit the refresh button. There we go. Don't think I broke the internet. This is good. Nah, it's not good. Oh, hey, some things are coming back to life here. That's cool. All right, so we are we might just have to end sooner than I hoped because I wanted to show you our little Mark Me Safe app. Got no log. I'm looking at my logs over here and it looks fine. App is running. There we go. So the cool thing is it restarts itself. Okay, so couple of call to action steps here. I would love for you to sign up for Call for Code and then form a team. Talk to your friends and developer neighbors. Maybe you've got a designer, someone who can do a great video presentation. You've got until the end of July to submit a proposal and actually running code for Call for Code. So $200,000 prize winners. We've got runner-ups. They also get some money, but we really want to hear your ideas, especially knowing that the actual cause is great. IBM will help you as part of our code and response team to deploy the winning solution. We just started our deployment of the 2018 winners were Project Owl. They were down a month ago in Puerto Rico deploying their solution to help connect during a hurricane. or after a hurricane. So submit for Call for Code, really fun. Find me on Twitter, say good things or negative things, and see everyone there. So I want to wrap up here. Thanks for joining today, and find my code. Oh, find my code in my Git repository. Feel free to grab it and use it. It's all licensed under Apache 2 license. So go grab my code, and where to go here. And I put all the flows in my repository. You can now take the flow and paste it into your Node-RED instance and build on top of it. Take my dashboards and make them fancy, and maybe use them as part of your solution for Call for Code. All right, so we're going to sign out here. Thanks for joining today.